Hi, and welcome to A Punk with Toys. My name is Lawrence, and today in this classic review, we're going to take a look at the G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, H.I.S.S driver, and yes, this is my original H.I.S.S driver. You can see that his Cobra symbol has seen better days. Obviously, a new O-ring because I don't know if I have any original figures that the O-ring has stood the test of time. Not that I really expect them to. But anyway, we're going to be taking a look at this guy, who's actually in pretty good shape. More than likely, my guess is that he was in the H.I.S.S more than anything. But we'll take a look at him. There's no weapons that he comes with. And you can probably figure out what the next video will come in this series, right? So anyway, we're going to take a look at this guy. We'll go over him, look at his articulation, his design, if there's anything maybe we missed as kids, because once again, we were playing with toys, not always analyzing them, I guess is the best way, like we do today with the G.I. Joe Classified and pretty much every other toy that we do. But anyway, let's get to this. But before we do, if you like this series, you like going back in time, maybe just stepping out of being an adult for a little bit, take a second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I drop a classic O-ring review. Alright, so here he is, already standing, and once again, no accessories, so we're going to be able to skip over that. And again, one of the wonderful things, and this is something that companies can't do today because they have budgetary restraints, is that they can't just make a complete mold for a specific character like they were able to back then. So anyway, we're going to take a look at this guy, and we'll start from his head. And he always had this weird little, like, mohawk. That's how I always saw it. Even as a kid, I always thought it was kind of weird. He has these, I guess what would be considered a visor, maybe goggles. It kind of looks like he has some pretty big bug eyes there. And then you obviously have the cover for his face. And then as this kind of just wraps around. Now, I always thought of this as a helmet. I would assume everyone else did too, not just like a balaclava. And I'm assuming this kind of signifies that. But again, there's no rivets in it or anything like that. No wrinkles like we would see with hats or any type of soft goods that they're supposed to have. Looking down here at the shoulder, or I'm sorry, not the shoulder, the vest, his chest here. He has this nice chest piece here. Again, I always found it kind of weird. He has these, they're very sci-fi-ish. We're just kind of stuck up here, but this is some sort of armor. Now, when you look at here, you can kind of see how it clips together. These are things I never noticed, and here's kind of where it looks like it would probably clips together from the back to the front, right? Though you don't really see too much on the back. So this here, I would assume, is some sort of armor, as again, you can see up there. It had the Cobra symbol. I like the blue, and I like the silver in the blue. I thought this color palette really worked really nice. Even as a kid, I always thought it looked really good. Looking at his arms here, again, nothing too special, but again, you can tell this is cloth, and you can tell where there's like the little wrinkles in it. It's just a little bit of detail even here on the forearms. And then he has these little bracelets, which I guess I've never really paid too much attention to. All right, 3 little red hook or red dots here. It looks like a little, and I'm not even sure what that is. But it looks like it's somewhere you can kind of hook something to. And is the other side is the exact same. So very similar. If you look at the Classified, you'll see this design. Again, we have 4 fingers and 1 thumb. You hear that, Super 7? 4 fingers and 1 thumb. We got his nice little belt here with his belt buckle. I love like the lines through the belt just to make it look more like a real belt. And then you just got these little pouches right here painted black. Again, that goes really far in my opinion. The pockets, and again, look at the little pocket with a little button right there. I don't know whoever uses those buttons on any of your pants. Going down to his legs, he clearly has some sort of armor that is shielding his legs. Kind of makes sense if this guy is out and he has to fix one of his treads, or you might want to have a little bit of protection on your legs. when you do bend, he has somewhat of a knee pad. I mentioned before, I always like the knee pads. This one doesn't protrude nearly as much. But looking at it, it kind of has, they're not scales, but they're kind of scaled down, probably to make it move a little bit better, kind of just like an actual knight from the old days. And then as you're looking down here, you can see these, I'm assuming this is kind of like the shoestrings that kind of hold this together. Maybe they're clamps that kind of just hold it together like snowboard bindings. Nice little detail right there. They do have the hole for your stands. Again, O-ring figures are completely different than the 6-inch figures. If you're using stands, I don't get mad about it. Because these things don't stand that well and you can only pose them so much. As for the articulation, we're still in Series 2, so there is still no head movement where they can look down, but they can look side to side. Again, I've always mentioned, I like the fact that they couldn't turn 360 because our heads really can't. There's your T-pose, never going to have a problem with a T-pose on an O-ring. You have your swivel arm battle grip right there, so it swivels at the elbow, and then you get, this is just over 90 degrees. All right. Again, it worked perfectly fine. Much better than what we had with the 5 POA figures for like Star Wars and everything. The O-ring here, again, if you don't know what an O-ring is, that is the rubber band that's in the middle. It's literally an O-ring that you can turn side to side. There is your Jean-Claude Van Damme. Don't pull that out too far. You'll risk breaking that crotch. But these ones are it's more important that they get the 90 degree because they're going to be sitting a lot here. And then you obviously have that nice 90 degree knee bend. Now he doesn't need that for the H.I.S., as he's going to be sitting out just like that when he sits in the H.I.S. But we'll eventually get to that. As for standing these figures, it's not really hard to stand them at all. To get them any type of poses can be a little bit difficult. Here he is on one toe. Again, not the greatest table, but you're able to kind of get them like they're running, but you're never going to get a really great kneeling position. It is very awkward, but you can do it. It is what makes the modern 4-inch figures really nice when it comes to the posing and obviously the 6-inch figure. So there you go. That is your H.I.S. driver, your Real American G.I. Joe Real American Hero, the O-ring versions. There you go. And again, kind of has a big head. I've always thought that maybe it's CoverGirl undercover here with the big giant head. All right, so there you go. That is the G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero classic review of the H.I.S. driver. Tell me a story about this. Did you have this figure and not the H.I.S.? I know a lot of people would somehow acquire figures. Sometimes they'd acquire vehicles, but wouldn't have the driver. I would love to hear if you guys have some stories. I think the H.I.S. was one of those things that was pretty... most G.I. Joe fans, or most G.I. Joe kids, probably had it. Or maybe I was just really spoiled and had it and assumed everyone else did. But anyway, tell me a little bit about this figure, if you had it, if you liked it. Maybe you thought it was awful and you're like, why would they make something with such a giant head? He does look like he has a kind of a big head. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. You stayed this long. You're like, hey, you know what? You make some pretty good content. I should probably hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so I'm notified every time this guy drops something. And he's dropping like 3 classic reviews a week. But I'm going to get out of here. What I am going to do, because I know you're so interested to see the previous one, right here is going to be the Major Blood Classic O-Ring review, and down here will be a playlist of all the G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, O-Ring figures and vehicles that I've done. Take care.